And the number one con of all cons is higher operating costs. Okay? Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay? I used to pay this amount. Now my expenses is this amount. Okay? And you always think you go just keep growing up to the right, up to the right, up to the right, just go keep taking off and business go be good, getting good. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that. But the operating costs stay up. They stay up, up, up. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 9% Show. I'm your host, Steven Burton, and here at the 9%, y'all know we keep everything 100. If I haven't done it, not doing it, or not about to do it, it will not come out my mouth. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to the 9% Show. And like we always do around this time, we take a toast to the 9%ers out there and those that want to get into the 9% Club. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. All right. All right, so we are going to start a brand new series, okay? A series of episodes that will be coming. It's going to be about how to build and open a retail clothing store. So for those that do not know, obviously I'm the founder and CEO of perfecttux. But 3 years ago, we opened the first perfecttux retail store. It was a very big, accomplishment, but also a very big lift, a very big, things got real, okay? AKA things got real. It was a big momentum moment and just a very big step in the business, in perfecttux in general, in my life. It was a big shift. And so, I remember during that process, Googling it and YouTubing, trying to find somebody that built a retail store. I had so many questions or things I was having trouble finding information on, and it was not out there. It was not out there. So I hope and pray that these series of videos go help that one somebody that actually wants to build a retail store, a retail clothing store, or maybe any type of retail store. And it will help you out throughout this process. I mean, we go talk about finding a location. We go talk about negotiating a lease. We go talk about, things you should think about. We're going to talk about all type of stuff. But this first episode, this first topic, we're going to just talk about my thought process in opening the perfecttux store. Because it wasn't something that was on my destiny at all. I did not, if you asked me about a store, a store was not in the plans for perfecttux. I am comfortable behind the computer, and I'm comfortable with e-commerce. I was very, very, very comfortable, and I still am very comfortable behind the computer and comfortable with e-commerce. But so it was not part of the plans. But so you may be asking, okay, Steve, well, if it wasn't part of the plans, how do you have a store right now? And a very nice store, might I add. Matter of fact, cue the B-roll. Okay, we go. Look at that, look at this nice store. Okay, they know, yes, beautified, luxury feel, you know what it is. Okay, so it was not no hole in the wall type of situation. We did it, and we did it big, and we did it for what perfecttux is and what perfecttux stand for. So the store is amazing, the store is beautiful, but what got me to this point? What made me start thinking about a store? And hopefully this will probably be some things that I'm touch on for anybody that, whether you have an e-commerce and you're thinking about having a brick and mortar, or maybe you're just starting straight to a brick and mortar. Anytime you're, opening a retail store, these are probably my experience of what I'm about to be talking about is things that you can you can check off your own list, okay, and see where you're at, and make sure you're kind of thinking about it the right way. So I'm talking about why I started it, why we built this store, why I thought now was the right time. I'm gonna give you some pros and cons about it. And then I'm gonna talk about some other little short topics. But that's what we go do in this episode and in this series of how to build and open a retail clothing store, because that's what we did here at perfecttux. So we go dive into this thing. So why was now a good time, or 3 years ago, why was that a good time to open a store? What got me thinking about that? One thing was at that point we was about about 6 years into the business. Okay, so I was about 6 years into the business, and honestly, the business was booming. Business was doing very well. I was very optimistic what was happening. Honestly, we just got purchased our first home for my family in 2020. I ain't got to worry about nobody in my books no more. I was like, I could focus on just, I ain't had nothing to worry about. I was like, okay, we could just focus on business. But business was good. Everything was to the right and going up. Okay, everything was trending up. You couldn't tell me nothing. perfecttux was on its way to be this major company. So the first thing was like, I felt like we was ready for it, but I still wasn't thinking about a store. But one of the things that being in digital marketing and, having to know what, with Google ads and things like that, but also knowing, how people were finding us, what was popular search terms on Google for perfecttux. And one of the search terms that always popped up, that was always a leading search term, was perfecttux near me. perfecttux in this city, perfecttux in that city. But perfecttux near me was always a top 3 search when it came to perfecttux. And I just found that pretty interesting. We would have customers email, chat with us, call us, be like, oh, do you guys have a store in Atlanta? Do you have a store in Minnesota? Do you have a store here? Or can somewhere I can go? And we'll be like, no, I'm sorry, we're just online, whatever. But all of that stuff was signs. It was signs about demand. It was signs that, okay, well, maybe a store could work. People are actually looking for this. Like, people are thinking that perfecttux is maybe bigger than it actually is. Like, goodness gracious. So that was something that I had seen a trend for like a couple years, honestly. But I still didn't really, pay no never mind. But once I started thinking about, okay, a store could happen, that was one of the first things that was like, okay, I think this makes sense. I think it makes sense. Another thing going on at that time too was that I was outgrowing my first space. So I had, when I first started perfecttux, I had a 500 square foot office, and downstairs we had like a little, it was just a garage type of vibe. It was also 500 square feet. So downstairs is where I kept the inventory. Upstairs was like the office, also inventory up there. But like, as far as like clothing racks and suits and stuff like that, at that point, I was filling up very quickly. Like, I needed more space. I know I needed more space, but it was like, what did that space look like? What was going on? So those was 2 truths that I was seeing. One, that I needed more space, period. Like, we were going to go I needed to get something bigger, period. And then 2, that, there was a demand for a perfecttux store near me. Like, that was a demand that I was seeing a popular search term. So all of that stuff, what really caused this store thing to become a thought and then quickly into reality was COVID. Dum, dum, dum. Like, no matter how much devastating it was for us, and it was devastating, but it created some opportunities. It created opportunities for everybody out there. The thing that sucked about COVID, it was like there was a lot of losers out there, a lot of people. Not saying that people were losers, but there's winners and losers, okay? Lack of a better term, but there was people that won, got a little come up during COVID, and there was people that was hurting and struggling and just all type of stuff was going on. And so one of the quote unquote losers during that time was honestly us and my wife, because she lost her job. So yeah, that would be a losing proposition right there. She was a retail store manager for about 15 years at a luxury clothing brand. And, her mall got shut down and she got transferred to another location. This place will open up and then she got transferred over here. And like, it was just all type of stuff. Then her store permanently closed down during COVID. So they was moving her around, but ultimately she got laid off. Okay. And so, but it was all good, got a great severance package, all the good stuff of being at a company for 15 years. Like, everything was all good. And she enjoyed her life being home and being a housewife and was just legs up, kicking it, chilling it. While, I was still out there grinding during COVID, trying to not catch nothing. But she was like, so that pretty much what happened. And so honestly, as that severance weared off and, it started getting a closer reality of like, well, Natasha, might have to talk about this job. Like, what's, what we about to be doing here? And she was really loving her freedom at that time, extremely loving her freedom. And so that was the first time where the thought process kind of connected, like, well, I mean, my wife could get another job, or she could come work for the business. Then that led to, like, you know, we had an opportunity, just capital-wise, there was an opportunity to expand the business. And I really started thinking, I was like, well, dang, you know, what would it look like if Natasha joined the business? What's her strong suit? I'm like, well, dang, she really, she's a retail store manager. Like, if I was to ever open a store, I don't want to run it. I can't do it. And I would probably need to hire somebody that has experience with merchandising and processes and, you know what a cash wrap is. I always thought it was a cash register place, but it's called a cash wrap. Like, all these type of terms of retail, like scheduling, employees, employee books, like all this type of stuff, you know, employee manuals, all this type of stuff would be my wife, her skill set. And I couldn't afford my wife. Okay, she was getting paid very handsomely, but you can come to join the team and work for just work, not free, but almost free. But you know, everything going in the same pot, so we gotta help each other. But I couldn't afford you if I was going to just pay your salary what you was getting paid. But I was like, hey, come join the team. So that's really what sparked the idea of the Perfect Tux store. Okay, that's when I was first like, okay, is this something that could be a possibility? And so then I connect to that Perfect Tux near me. I was like, dang, okay. And I'm like, well, if we get a store, like, I would still want the e-commerce in there, and like maybe it could be a mixture of the e-commerce and the retail store, like all together. And I already pay this rent here, and I'm about to get a bigger place. So that'd be a little more rent. And so if we subtract what the rent is and the places, I'm like, you know, even though the new rent would be more expensive, I'm like, you know, I can subtract what I was paying, so I'm really only paying that much. And like, so you know, brain just flowing. And so it got to the point where I was just like, it got more real and more real. And my wife opened up to the idea of like, okay, well, yeah, I want to come on board too. And, you know what I'm saying? She got a taste of that freedom. And I don't think she wanted to go back to that 9-to-5 life in a traditional sense. And so that's really what brought everything together. And then, you know, I would say from more of a business standpoint, besides just Perfect Tux near me being a popular search term, you know, the reality of it was that I was thinking that, and I knew for, you know, though I'm very shocked, even still to this day, that people buy stuff online, you know, even high price stuff. Like, people are so comfortable buying stuff online. But the fact of the matter is, people still want to touch and feel stuff, you know, especially if they're spending, you know, over $200 on something. You still want to like touch and feel. So I thought it could really work itself out. And then I started seeing, I was like, as long as the internet continue to do what it does, like we could do this. We could make this happen. So that was kind of like my thought process, but COVID is really what pushed it to that point. So in my other videos and the other topics of this, because the next step was like, okay, well, what do you do? What do you do next? And that's where I was hitting all the like, I couldn't find nothing out to help a brother out to find out like, how do I even accomplish this? What does that even look like? Like, it was such a very interesting process, but I'm gonna go into some details on our future episodes within this series, so I'm not gonna dive into that type of stuff. But so that was pretty much the origin of having a store. Now I kind of want to talk about like the pros and cons of having our retail store. Some of the things I knew kind of before we launched it, and some of these things I learned, you know, after we launched, but at least give you some ideas if you're thinking about this, some ideas that, you know, some things for you to think about, okay? First, we're going to talk about the pros, okay? The pros were how I saw things going and what I really learned about having a retail store. The first thing was I got a real deep understanding of my customer, more than I could ever get online with all the analytics, all the Facebook, you know, interest, likes, Google this, search term this, how you move on my website. Like, I've been so e-commerce and such a digital person where I didn't have a true appreciation for just like literally a customer coming through the door and talking to them. or like seeing how they move, seeing how they operate. And then one of the first things that just cracks me up, and it still cracks me up to this day, I didn't realize how many people hate Men's Warehouse. Hate it. You know, hate it with a passion. I mean, you can read some reviews online, but when I tell you the amount of people that come up in here talk about the bad experiences there, I was just like, it was very shocking to me. You know, I assume people wanted touch and feel stuff, but we get people in our store coming from, I'm not sure, anybody in the LA area might know where our store's in Valencia, Santa Clarita area. So it's still LA County, but it's more northern, Six Flags type of vibe. So I would say from like downtown LA, maybe a good 40 minutes, you know. Well, with no traffic or some traffic, light traffic. It can get a lot worse with traffic and all that stuff. But we're not in the straight, we're in LA County, but we ain't in the mix. We're more in like a suburban area type of thing going on. So with all that being said, like we got people coming from Long Beach, which is over an hour away. We've got people, I had somebody coming from Temecula, which is like 2 hours. Like we've had people come from far to come to us. So it just tells me that like, well, one, like I said, people still like to touch and feel, but also like, you know, we're a destination business. Like people will look it up and be like, okay, we're gonna go there. We're gonna go there on Saturday. We go check them out. So, but seeing how, you know, the pain points of customers, like it was a new thing that I never thought about, or like how much they appreciate our great customer service. Like for us, we're just like, you know, treat people how they want to be treated. But like the bad experiences that's out there, I knew the bad experiences online, and that was my, you know, thought process to better the customer shopping experience to buy from we're online. But now we're like, well, dang, okay, we're bettering the shopping experience for a customer in the store. So it was totally different. And it was like to have that deep understanding of like customers, what they think about the fit, how things look on. Like I never got to see 6 years in business how an outfit looks on a customer. I mean, besides a photo. Like now they're in the fitting room saying, oh, this is tight, my thighs, nah, this tight. I'm like, what you mean it's tight? Like, you know, so it was like good to know. I could get my vendors feedback, all that type of stuff. Another pro was like the store helped build trust and legitimacy. Like, oh my goodness, I cannot tell you how many times we used to get the question of like, are y'all real? Are y'all in China somewhere? Am I gonna get my stuff? Oh, y'all ain't gonna scam me, is you? Like, as soon as we open up the store, them questions is gone. We don't get none of that. No questions about like, are we real? Are we a real business? Because the store itself brought that legitimacy. Like I know for a fact that it has helped us convert online sales because it's just built that trust. It's like if you have an actual store, people can see it, people can Google it, people can, you know, see the photos, people can see what street, we have an address, a phone number. Like it don't get no more legit. Okay, so people that hurdle of converting that sale because of trust, like we was already on our way, you know, 6 years in, but like, man, I'm talking about the legitimacy was real and it was really felt and it's still felt today. So it really helps out with that. Another pro, new marketing opportunities. I mean, you talk about your local SEO, search engine optimization for those that are unfamiliar with the 9% show. I talk about SEO all the time. You know, Google business, like having a local retail, when somebody Googles something like coming up, it just created an opportunity for people to find us locally, but also supported our website. It was like that omni-channel model, like it's built for that. Like we became that omni-channel. And for those that don't know what that is, it's like when you have a retail inventory, you have an internet, and it's kind of like it's kind of meshed in together. But so we became that. And so there was like a lot more new marketing opportunities. There's marketing we could do for the store only. There's marketing we could do for website only. It just kind of but it goes hand in hand and it supports each other. So it created a whole new way of thinking of things outside of just like online only. I mean, now we can, you know, our local high schools, pound season, we can just go knock, 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 knock. Hi, how you doing? My name is, we're here at perfecttux, we down the street. Like, it's just a different thing. Another pro, when you're talking about a retail store, clothing store specifically, versus online, is, oh my goodness, a better return rate. I would say our return rate for the store is probably 2%, if that. Now online, it fluctuates from anywhere from 15 to 20. And that's pretty darn good for online stores. Some online stores like 30, 40, 50% return rate. So for that, like it's in our conversion rate is super high because ain't nobody coming into a formal wear store just to be looking. Okay, and they come in just to be looking, and they're probably trying to rob you. They're probably trying to do something. And we've had some situations like that in the past. Not nothing major, but like you stand out like a sore thumb. So all you criminals and thieves out there, whatever. I ain't gonna. Let me get back to the topic. But no, so like everybody that comes into our store is like literally shopping for a purpose. So the conversion rates are higher. You're less to return something because by the time you leave, you got something personalized for you. Like it's for you. It fits you. You like it. The colors. We done talked about everything. It is great. And then, the last pro I would say with just having a store is just like, customer, and I mentioned it already, but they just like to touch and feel stuff. It's a good thing that they can come and like, see what that looks like in person. Oh, see what it looks like in the sun. See what it looks like, whatever. Like, oh, how does this fit? Whatever the case may be. So just all those things was the pros of having a retail store, okay? Now we're going to talk about some of these cons. Because, oh, yes, there's some cons with having a brick and mortar store. Oh, yes, there's cons. And the number one con of all cons is higher operating costs. Okay? Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay? I used to pay this amount. Now my expenses is this amount. Okay? And you always think you go just keep growing up to the right, up to the right, up to the right, just go keep taking off and business go be good, getting good. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that. But the operating costs stay up. They stay up. And mainly just the rent alone. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, it's just high operating costs is one of the biggest cons of it. It just is what it is. I mean, e-commerce, it does not take much to operate an e-commerce store. I mean, granted, as I got bigger and larger, and I told you I started off, I had a store. We was already paying rent. So, but it definitely grew. Had to at least one more employee just to handle coverage for the store and things like that. So employee costs, all the electricity costs. Running that air conditioner all day. Play blah, I'm hot. Turn that down. Like, no, don't turn that on. Okay, it ain't that bad here. Them freaking bills is ridiculous. Okay, the power bill at a store, oh my gosh. Look at it. It's things you don't think about. But all your operating costs, that is a con, okay? Another con that was very dear to me that still hurts my soul to this day is I gave up some scheduling freedom. And I love my freedom. I loved e-commerce because I did what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. Want to work from home, want to work from here. Even when I was in the office, it was just me. I'd come in my pajamas, do some work, whatever. Like now it's like, oh my gosh, we have to have operating hours. We got to be open and close. I don't want to be open. I just want to go home. I want to close early. Like, but it's like, I gotta know that people are driving from Temecula. Somebody might be randomly driving. We had somebody fly in from the Bay Area, flew in to come to our store, needed an outfit for that night and flew back. Like they was wearing it the next night. That has happened. Can you believe it? How would we be as a company if somebody flies in because the shows were open and I decided to leave early that day? I mean, that's not the best look for your customers. So like, it's been you lose some freedom with a retail store. And I would say, man, props to the people that just only have a brick and mortar store. I mean, I don't know how you just sit and wait for somebody to come in your store. I really don't. I don't know. I would drive myself crazy. But like, yes, my freedom has been shifted. I mean, I'm still able to, for now, to get my freedom, I got to incorporate employees. And employees, they also cost. So like, if I don't want to be there, somebody got to be there. But you're not gonna be there for free. I gotta pay you. So it's just it's a different thing. It is what it is. Next con we're gonna talk about here is processes. You might not think about, especially coming from e-commerce. There were so many new processes that I just didn't think about. Like, oh yeah, it sounds legitimate. Like, oh, this omni-channel. Like, okay, well, we have a POS system. for our in-store purchases. That needs to sync with our internet. And okay, how does that sync? Oh my gosh, we now need SKUs, and SKUs need to be exact, and this needs to be in this format, and whoop-de-whoop. Or like, okay, what is the perfecttux way of greeting a customer? What happens in the process of dealing, like, we never dealt with a customer in person before. Like, this wasn't no established business. We had to literally write the manual like, okay, a customer comes in, we say hi, we offer him what? Like, what do we offer him? How do we do it? What do they try on? What vendors do we offer? Who has this? Who has that? How long does it take for them to get something? What do we tell the customer? How do we then know these processes? And then how do we train it to employees? What's the best way to train them? Do they know this? Do we know that? Like, nobody thought about that. I didn't think about that. Manual, like what? Like, oh my gosh, creating new processes was something crazy. But it's like, if you don't do that, you are just setting yourself up for failure. Like, you need to have a roadmap of how your business operates. So that was definitely a con that I did not think about, and like, it was like, oh my goodness, that was a struggle in itself. Another con to think about is just stocking the store. Like, everything looked good in the store. Like, oh my gosh, these big old fixtures, and look at all this space. And then it was like all the design people left and the construction people left. And it was like, oh, we gotta put stuff in here. Like, I just can't have 3 things in here. Like, it gotta look full. How does it look full? Yeah, you gotta pay for it to look full. There's more inventory. Or like, oh my goodness, now we need something in every single size for people to try on stuff and like fit people, and like, oh, the shirts, we gotta have shirts and blah, blah, blah. And then like, one of the bigger things, speaking about shirts, one thing we learned, like we had a bunch, everything we sell is for purchase, and there's no rental. So we had a bunch of new shirts. So a customer would come in and we'd pull out a new shirt and have them try it on. And like, we had to refold it up and put it away. And that created so much time. Then it was finally like, one of the best ideas we had, we was like, okay, we need just try on shirts. Like, you just try on, we could just wash them, keep them hanging up. Oh, you're a large, here, try this shirt on. It feels good, then we'll give you a new shirt. But to stock that inventory, we had to buy a bunch of shirts that just went to try on shirts. Like, we didn't make no money from that. It's just literally try on shirts. Like, that's what it is. So there was a lot more inventory that I had to have that I did not have being e-commerce. And that is a big, that was a big con. I mean, it was just, suits and stuff like that is not one of the cheapest things out there. So I mean, it adds up quickly when you multiply that. So that was something to think about. Also, a con was like, though I said pro was like understanding the customer was more, a con was like realizing that our local customers shop different than our online customer. Like, it was a different market. How the things we assumed that we knew about our customers online, we couldn't quite bring that to our local. Our local customer is more conservative, more muted, don't like a lot of patterns. But online, oh, they looking for that purple, that green, that the patterns, everything popping off. But online, it's like, in local we sell more, solid colors, more basic suits and things like that. So that was an adjustment in knowing that, like, okay, we couldn't necessarily go off of these assumptions of data, of these 6 years worth of data we had. It was like finding and operating something new. It was very, very different. And, it was just a lot of new thoughts and new things we had to learn about what our local market was, okay? So yeah, that would be the most of the cons right there. So for this pros and cons breakdown right now, I just hope you take some of this and you see it. If you're thinking about a retail store, thinking about a brick and mortar, that you think about some of these things. Like I said, a lot of these things I didn't know until we dived into it. But yeah, so I hope that's some stuff that you guys take from that. So the next thing I'm gonna talk about, as far as, my thought process in opening the perfecttux store, was that, we really wanted to make a all-in-one one-stop shop for the business. Our business, our location is uniquely built, where we have it directly split straight down the middle. This side is e-commerce. We didn't do e-commerce in the back, hidden somewhere. It was part of the design for you to see, like when a customer comes walking in here, you might be the only customer, but you see 30 boxes stacked up here. We're over here cutting, taping stuff up. The stuff is happening. Like, you're like, oh my goodness, there's energy in here. Like, there's stuff going on. So we thought with the e-commerce in mind. We thought about, okay, we need more storage room. We built a photo shoot wall right here. Actually, this studio that you see here, this where I'm filming, we built this within the thought process. We do photo shoots here. We do filming here. I take the 9% show here. Like, all this stuff happens for this, and it's all under one house. So though my operating expenses went up with this process, but hey, I can take my own photos now. I don't got to go to a studio, rent nothing. Hey, I can rent out this place to somebody, and you pay me to shoot up in my place. So, but really having a place that everything we needed to have done for the e-commerce side, especially, could now all be done in-house. So we designed the layout, everything to be part of this one-stop shop to operate the business. So, and to also grow and scale the business. So that was the thought process of this, and something I loved in going through the process. Another thought I had was that, I thought that retail, the retail store would just be icing on the cake. Our e-commerce is where the bread, what's the word I'm looking for? Bread and butter. It's our bread and butter. I wasn't tripping. 2 people come in the store, whatever, getting themselves. If nobody in the store, I'm still making money. It don't matter. Well, that was my thought, but reality hit me, and it's like, okay. Like, you ain't in here paying this rent for nothing. Like, and then let alone, like I said, you think everything just keep going up. But what happens when there's a little downtick? Okay, what happens when something, shifts in the economy? What happens, whatever? Like, you better get that retail store popping. So at first it started off with treated like it was gonna be icing on the cake. But you know what? I eventually had to say, no, let me give the retail store some energy. Let me give it some marketing energy. Let me get people through here. We want people to come through here. Like, how do we think about it deeper? Let's beat last year's numbers, what we're doing in the store. So it was just thinking about it as its own entity, but also supporting it and giving the support it needs to be successful. Because I need that money too for the retail side too. We just ain't out here kicking it. And the final thing that I will say, as far as my thought process with opening the perfecttux store, was the risks were very real. Okay, was very real and still is very real. Okay, the loan that it took to put this place together. Okay, yes, it's real. Okay, it was not monopoly money. Okay, balancing logic and emotions. Like, okay, this makes sense. Perfecttux near me. Oh my gosh, but oh my gosh, this is a lot. This is very scary. I don't really know. Handling all that was freaking crazy. Did I make the right decision? There was a long time where I was like, oh, I don't know. If I'm being completely honest with myself, I'm not talking to everybody. I'm just talking to y'all right here. I won't tell nobody, right? There's times where I was like, oh my goodness, I've made so many great decisions in business, and I don't know if this was a great one. Did I mess up? Did I whatever? And it was like, oh my gosh, you just can't say, never mind. Okay, where is this gonna go? There's been times I'm like, oh my goodness, did you make a right decision, Steve? It felt good at the time, but did you, and in the future, it's unknown. We don't know yet. But what's crazy is that as I thought that way, I'm currently in a position well, dang, I think our store is a competitive advantage to us. In this AI landscape where you just can't trust anybody, heck, I could be AI right now talking for me right now. You don't even know. Okay, I could have propped this whole thing. You don't know what's going on. You can't trust nothing. I'm sure e-commerce shops are gonna be popping up left and right. Just one little prompt to go build my whole store. Everybody gonna be selling something. Everybody gonna be doing something. The way search engines work. But you know what? Everybody ain't got a retail store. Everybody can't whip out their phone and perform in front of the store and be like, oh my goodness. Or hey, come to our store, come check it out. That brand authority, that brand trust. Oh, my crystal ball tells me in this AI world of fakeness, it's gonna be a good thing to have. And then, you know, there's other things we do with the store. We've rented it out to production. There's been filming here, all type of stuff. You know, it creates an opportunity. So while sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, was this the right decision? Yeah, like we do on a 9% show, we don't soak and mold for a long time, okay? We think about some stuff, then we keep it pushing, we give it positive, and think, how can we grow, and how can we, you know, get the best of a situation. But the risk was real, okay? And building a store, let alone building one and doing a build out, because we did a full build out, okay? Yeah, we'll talk about that. We will talk about that. But we'll end it here, okay? Talk about the next episode. You know, the next topic we'll talk about that one. So you definitely want to catch the next one about this series. It's gonna be great, okay? It's gonna be great, and I hope all this has been educational for everybody watching, okay? Until next time, please like, subscribe to our channel, like this video, share it with somebody. It is some valuable information that you'll only get here on the 9% show. Trust me, again, I was looking for this type of information. I couldn't find it, so now I'm giving it to y'all. So till next time, I will catch you on the 9% show. Peace.